Hey guys, welcome to the next class in Viewpoints, Enlightened Perception for a Peaceful Future. And today we are going to talk about mental maps. So hold on tight, let's get going. Right, so what are mental maps? Well, it was this guy, Alfred Korzybski, the creator of general semantics, who created this term, the map is not the territory. And you might have heard of that in various different self-development traditions. But the map is not the territory is basically how human beings, through our thoughts and our opinions and our ideas and our principles, we create a map about reality. We've got reality, what happens, and then we have the map about reality. The important thing is for us to have a map that has clear directions, correct information. For example, if you just had a general map about how to get from A to B, you would want to make sure that that map had the right information on it. Now, on that map, you only need certain information. You really only need the roads and the directions. That's about it. So that map is going to delete a lot of information that is unnecessary. And then on that map, you're going to have the important details. But you want to make sure that it's got the right details, because if it's got the wrong details, you're not going to end up where you need to get to. And you're not going to be able to make good decisions if the information on that map isn't correct. Now, it's exactly the same with mental maps. All of us have mental maps about reality. I mean, you've got a road map, which is to do with getting from A to B, but then you've also got a map for relationships. You've got a map for politics. You've got a map for business. And your map is essentially all the beliefs and thoughts and principles you use to navigate. Now, the problem is that a lot of us have got some pretty shitty maps. And the process of general semantics and on this course is looking at our maps and helping us to clean them up. So let me give you a few examples. Imagine you see a TV ad and they advertise a product and you're like, oh wow, that product looks really cool. They tell you something about that product. They tell you how good it is, how well it works. They give you a nice story and that becomes your map. You're like, oh wow, that looks really cool. And then let's say you go and buy the product and you find out that it doesn't work or it's not very good or it's got some issues and you're like, hey, they didn't say that in the advert. So you had your map about the product, about the brand, and then you went and actually experienced it and you realized that reality was very different to the idea or the map that you had about it. Let's take another example. Imagine you see like a lovely holiday to the Bahamas advertised on TV and you see a couple on the beach drinking coconut cocktail, see beautiful sunshine, see this wonderful hotel with great service, and you think, right, I'm gonna go and book that holiday. Your map is that holiday is going to go a particular way. And then you get on the holiday and you're like, the service is terrible, the food's awful, the weather's terrible. So there's this difference between the map that we have and reality. Let's look at politics. Maybe there's a general election and one political party has given you their manifesto and they say, this is what we're gonna do. This is who we are. This is what we stand for. And you're like, yeah, great. I love those guys. And that's how you see reality. That's your map of reality. But the truth is, the truth could be very different. We have what we think and then we have reality. And maybe that party gets into power, and when they do get in the power, then you realize, hey, they're not doing what they said they were gonna do. They're not behaving like they said they would. So that is the difference between the map, the perception we have of things, and how things really are. And sometimes our map, how we perceive things, can be a long, long way from the truth of a situation. So the thing is, we need to have a good map to find our way through reality. The problem is you can't include all the information on a map. We can't know everything. The important thing to realize is firstly that we have a map. Now, one thing we know is that the map is not the territory. They're two separate things. So don't ever think that what you think is the same as what's out there. It's very different. And that's a mistake that a lot of people fall into. They think this is true. What I believe is true. That holiday's great. That political party is fantastic. That person is excellent. They think the map, what they think, is the same as the territory. Two very different things, and this is how human beings, we fool ourselves. We think what we believe is true, but really all we have is the map about reality. If I were to tell you the word rose, but you'd never seen a rose, you could never imagine what that rose looks like. Two very different things. I could tell you about the rose and the color, but you wouldn't have a clue. And when you saw the rose, it would be totally different to how I had explained it. So there's a difference between how something is and how we perceive something. And they're just very different, and we don't talk about it that way. We talk about things as if the rose is the same as the flower, and they're not. They're two totally different things. Now, it's important for us to have a good map or a good mental map of something. In an ideal world, if you're going to be looking, for example, of a map of a landscape and it's a contour map, you want to have a map that has all the different contours, all the different angles, so you can really get a good idea of the landscape. If you don't have like a nuanced map, if you don't have a map that is detailed and specific, then you're just going to get lost and stuck. So it's important for you to have a good map with the nuances of the situation. If you don't have a good map, then forget about it. Now, this course that we're doing is about helping you to improve your map so you can see things clearer, you can have more clarity and more understanding of what's going on. And if you've got a bad map with bad assumptions, incorrect judgments, then you're just going to be stuck and you're going to be making all sorts of incorrect observations and assumptions. Here's another example. We've all chatted to people who tell you something about someone. Human beings, we love to gossip, don't we? We read it in the newspaper, we read people chatting about other people, telling us their opinions. Maybe a friend of ours comes and chats to us and say, hey, that guy over there, he's an idiot. That person over there, they're a liar. And obviously we believe what they say, but maybe we go and chat to that person and we have a totally different experience of them. It's very interesting. We all see things differently, and until we actually experience ourselves, the thing, the person, the event, the brand, it's very different to the map that we have about it. Maybe we read a newspaper article about someone and the newspaper article tells us a terrible thing about somebody. Maybe it's a hit piece, and that feeds into our map about reality. It feeds into our map about those people. And then we go and we meet that person, like, wow, there's nothing like the story. Everyone has a mental map of something, but when we experience something or we question our map, it allows us to say, well, is that true? What's close to the truth? And as I've already said, we can't fit all the information on our map. Just imagine, in politics, having all the information in your map about one person. Would it even be possible? Would it be possible to have everything included on our map of reality? Now, most people's maps have very little information in them. Very little. If you look at most people's opinions, most people's views about circumstances, a lot of them are incredibly simple. They ignore and delete lots of information from their opinion. They're just not present to it. Not only that, but they think the map is the territory. Imagine the last argument you had with your partner. Imagine what that was like. Both sides, both people had different views. Both people value different things. They have different maps of the situation, different maps of what's important in the relationship. They can only see what's on their map. And maybe the other person on the other side sees something that person doesn't see. Both the people have their map, and the important thing to realize is your view is limited. You can only see what's in your map. You don't know everything. And also, some of the assumptions on your map might be incorrect. Are those assumptions based on facts? Where did you hear them from? It's a really important issue, and all of us are trying to make sense of reality. All of us have maps, and it's important just to realize that that's what's happening. All of us have maps, and all of our maps are missing certain information. That's just a fact. It doesn't matter who you are, whether you're a famous philosopher, famous journalist, we're all missing information on our maps. Some people are better at it than others. Some people, you could say, are less wrong. Their maps allow for different aspects. Now, in polarization, most people's maps are very one-sided, very one-sided. They don't allow for other nuances of opinion or different sides, different viewpoints. So the maps are very simple and very one-sided, but everyone's maps are missing information, and the more information we have, the more nuanced, the more specific, the more correct our map is. It's one of the exciting things about AI, right? Is that AI will be able to factor in more information, more nuance from all sides, which ultimately will help it get closer to the truth of something. So I'd like you to think about different ways that you could look at making your map better. What do you think you could do to improve your map? Maybe you could start asking more questions. What information am I missing? What questions do I need to ask in order to get more information? And this is something we're going to be doing throughout the series. We're going to be helping you finesse and fine-tune your map so that you can see reality more clearly and ultimately have less conflict and more peace in your life. So I hope you enjoyed the class. I'll catch you later.